So, welcome everyone. I'm Alexander Mihalcea, and today you're joined by Iulia Andritoiu, co-founder of QuickLegal. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what QuickLegal does?
Sure. So, a bit in a nutshell, QuickLegal right now it's a SaaS debt collection automation solution that helps companies to recover unpaid invoices or late paid invoices from the first notice up to the core claim. In addition to that, we also have a matchmaking algorithm that matches companies with the best suited lawyers for their needs in a completely online environment where they can interact, exchange documents, have calls, video calls, chat. Basically, all their interactions can happen online from their benefit of their home or their own office and solving real issues.
Okay, that's fascinating. Yet, what inspired you to create QuickLegal? Was there a specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
Yeah, so it was quite a journey, I can say. It's not something that we just came up overnight and then we start launching and then we get right into business. So it was kind of initially, let's say, a personal drive because all the co-founders, we are three female co-founders, and we're all lawyers. So in our normal profession and day-to-day interaction with customers, notice that we could really use a lot of tools and technology to improve the processes, to improve the engagements, to improve the, our day-to-day work. So like simple tasks initially. But then we saw the benefit of incorporating technology into even, greater areas that we can leverage to assist customers with empowering basically them to operate on their own certain, small tasks, and then only reach out to a legal professional for something that's really worth their time and money. So with kind of that mindset that we already had, we met each other back in 2018. It was the first edition of Global Legal Hackathon in Romania. It was a very, unique event for us and even for the tech minds, because this event, what it did, it brought together legal minds and technical minds to work together in a hackathon. So it was definitely a marathon of 12 hours where we had to came up with a real problem, a solution to that problem, the potential of using certain tools to solve that, and converting all of that into a business in just 12 hours. So it started like a game, I can say that.
Yeah.
Then it, along the years, slowly shape that, just the idea and then the game of, okay, this can actually be something real into an actual business. Um, when we incorporated it back in 2021 and started operations back in 2023. So it was quite a ride.
Yeah, interesting. And what was your background before starting this venture?
Yeah, so as I was saying, all of us, all the founders, are lawyers. So we all have legal education and more than that, legal experience in the legal services market for more than 10 years. So jointly, we can say, we always said we're like 20 to 25 years joint experience in the legal services market. So that kind of came like a glove for us because we understood very well the market, we understood the needs of the companies that we interacted with, and we used our knowledge and at the same time the market feedback that we received into converting all of that into potential solution that we can provide to companies to service certain legal operations or legal needs that they have. And as we all know, when you have a problem, you really, it's something that's pressing, and it takes away all your, I don't know, focus on what's your business, what you have to do on a daily basis. So we want to take, away that burden from the company's shoulder, and giving them the tools to solve, pressing issues such as, debt collection or having unpaid invoices somewhere in the back end of their operations, and allow them to focus on what's really important, which is basically their business, their day-to-day activities, and of course growing on that end.
Okay, and because you mentioned this, why did you choose to focus on debt recovery? Was it driven by client demand or market opportunity?
Yeah, well, I think it was a bit of a mixture of both. But we started initially with market demand, because from our interactions with the clients, we noticed that 9 out of 10 companies, at least in Romania, face the issue of having a late invoice or having invoices that weren't paid for like months or sometimes years. Which is quite frustrating, because everyone, it's focusing on doing their job and, being the best at what they do. And they never expect that on the other end of the contract, there will be businesses that would not prioritize, paying for those services, paying
Yes.
for those products. So initially, you don't want to be too, let's say, aggressive, because that's your business partner. So you're focusing on, keeping that relationship. Um, and but it's still a tension there, so it's hard to manage that properly without having emotional involvement in that. And we received all that feedback from our customers, and the general market, because we've also conducted some surveys on the matter. And we said, all right, so this is clearly an issue. Most of companies, like around 7 to 8, said that when we asked, but what do you do about it? You have this issue. How do you solve it? And their feedback was kind of like, we kind of feel it's too time consuming sometimes to do anything about it, or we're afraid that we're going to lose that business relationship, or we just don't have sometimes the money, because we're afraid, if at least for small businesses, we're afraid that that will cost us a lot of money if we get lawyers involved, if we sell that to debt collection agencies or something like. So there are a lot of fears that we heard from the markets. That's kind of how we structure the solution to address all these fears. Like, the solution doesn't impact the business relationship that clients have with their own clients. Also, it's a very easy to tool that very easy and intuitive tool to use, that companies can operate on their own. It takes 5 to 10 minutes to do the initial setup, and then just monitor the activity. So it's a tool in their hands, offering full transparency over the process, the cost, the reactions of the clients, and the possibility to adapt constantly the tool to the specific needs of the company, and particularly to that company's client segments.
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. And now let's go back to when you first started. So, what major challenges or gaps did you see in the market that made you think this needs to be solved?
Yeah, so as I was saying, 9 out of 10 companies actually encounter this issue. Around 7 to 8 complain, have their fears, which is normal. It's too expensive, it's too time consuming. I don't want to lose the relationship with the customer. So at that point, we're like, but this should be an easy fix, And also, we looked on the legal side. So this was the market feedback, right? And then we look on the legal side, because we're legal experts. What is the solution that the law offers? So we saw that the full process, it's rather simple, straightforward, and simplified even by the law, because the intention was to make this process fast, even at the level of the court, so it doesn't impact the business and the cash flow of a company. The problem was there was a gap between the two, because sure, you had a need, you had the information, you had some solutions in terms of what the legal offer, the law offers, but what was the actual tool in between to bridge the gap, right? What can you use to leverage the law that offers you that protection and solving your, real
Yeah, makes
problem?
sense.
So we looked on the market, at least on the Romanian market, there wasn't such tool when we initially launched. There were similar tools or solutions in Western Europe. Of course, in the US, it's a completely different world there. But locally on the Romanian market, we said, okay, there's none. And we looked to the others that already developed and we saw the results and we saw the impact. And we said, okay, let's solve this problem.
Mm.
Let's build this solution, make it accessible to businesses, and just sometimes even educate those businesses in understanding the benefits of having a tech tool that operates in addition to their other human resources that their human resources could use into making their work more efficient and improving their cash flow, because eventually the end goal is to improve a company's cash flow, reduce the stress on the collection side, and empower the company with the right tools.
Right, right. And beside the debt recovery, what are the main challenges you are seeing in the Romanian legal tech market?
Well, Romanian legal tech market, there are big words here for sure. Um, I can say that we're still an emerging market on this end. There are a lot of legal tech tools and solutions that could be used, but we're still, using them and not using them. So we're kind of like, we like the idea, at least, majority of legal professionals that I know and we interacted with, they all understand, the importance of incorporating technology in their day-to-day work. Because it helps them to become more efficient, because it reduces the level of, let's say, redundant work that an automation could cover, or reduces their time to do research. If you can use AI that's incorporated into a research database that can easily give you the information in a couple of minutes that usually took maybe hours to research. It has a lot of benefits. But the reality is that the reality is that this is still we're in, at least in Romania, in a trying phase. It's not necessarily something that's well established, and majority of legal firms or legal professionals use as part of their day-to-day work, and we don't have that many, let's say, alternative solutions that could um, you know um, be kind of like a tool that assists with legal operations, or with interaction with the legal companies, and making all these processes um, easier and faster for companies to use. But definitely the future would look like similar to what we see in the Western countries, and in the US, where technology is just normal day-to-day business, right? It's not something that we just want to try and see if it works for us, but it's something that we need, and it's a given that you cannot operate without.
Okay, okay. So walk us through Quick Legal addresses these challenges. What makes your approach unique?
Well, we are addressing one of the challenges. There are so many for sure. What makes us unique right now is that we have the understanding of both the market need and as well as the legal venues that we can leverage in making the solution, the right solution to use. Because, for example, in the debt collection process, we understand very well the applicable law. It's a very simplified process. It doesn't imply, they are just two steps that you have to take, some forms that you have to fill out, and then if you basically check the three boxes, then it's kind of an easy win, right? Um, but what makes us unique is, besides this understanding of the regulations and also the market need, is that we also build on top of the solution. So we have this automation solution, but um, uh, as a supplement or complementary to this solution comes also the matching solution that we initially developed with lawyers. So if companies, let's say, find it too complex or have a more complex case in the collection process, They can leverage the other service that we have on the platform, which is connecting with real attorneys that could assist with more complex cases, or just connect with them for any other legal need that they have. And leveraging the virtual office where they can easily exchange documents and interact with the attorneys. And on top of that, of course, it's also, specific technologies that we incorporate. So we have the AI technology that's incorporated in reading the documents, reading the client's replies, and making the process more intuitive and easy for the users to operate with. And of course, we're planning to continue to develop on that and continue to have this some key differentiators on the market.
Okay, okay. And I have a curiosity by them. So, for example, how do you approach adapting your services for different European markets?
Right. This is it's a very good question because while the automation in itself, it's easily scalable. So up to the point of the court where, of course, there could be certain differences. But the initial part, it's, just late payment notifications based on different customer segments, personalized on certain criteria. But other than that, it's nothing that's really dependent on the applicable law in those specific countries. Nevertheless, there are some other key aspects that we need to consider. So, for example, in certain countries, they are more mature in adapting technology. So that could be an easier entrance because companies are already used to this kind of solutions. So compared to Romania, for example, where in at least for small businesses, we are still having this, initial, let's say, um, attempts to educate the entrepreneur because
Yeah.
we are explaining the benefits in general of using technology and then the benefits of using automation, then and eventually, the benefits of using our solution. So there are, quite a few steps to take until, closing the selling cycle compared to more mature markets where they're already used to having this kind of solution. So you're past that stage in explaining the benefits. You're already on the stage of, okay, what makes us better compared to other existing solutions on the market? Why would you choose us compared to the other solutions that you already maybe operate with or you already know about? So it could be, a faster entry, but at the same time more competitive one because at that point, which is, what it really matters is how you're positioning yourself different on the market compared to other competitors. And that brings the best in your solution because you have to, be better at something compared to others so that you can attract customers from, other competing solutions or new customers that haven't tried up to that point the automation of certain processes like debt collection. Um, so the maturity of the market for sure, it's an important key aspect. And then another thing, it's the culture aspect. We also noticed that, you know, um, maybe in the north, right? And, the businesses are have a certain way of conducting business. So maybe late payments, it's not that common of an issue compared to other European countries. And we notice that. So if, for example, in Romania, it's 9 out of 10, in the Nordics, it's probably less than that. So maybe, I don't know, 5 out of 10, right? So it's really a matter of finding the customers, or not necessarily customers, but the industry that faces this issue. So in Romania, maybe it's a majority of business that face this issue, but maybe in the Nordic countries, there will be just a few industries because maybe they have advanced payments, maybe they have, just a very good
Yeah.
business ethic that they don't, pass the due date of an invoice. And then, so finding those cultural differences and understanding them, it's really important when you're positioning your product on a different market. So yeah, I would say these are the key ones, but of course, once you scale to other countries, you will definitely find more things to look at.
Okay. And also, when you talk to potential clients, what's the biggest misconception they typically have about what you do?
Oh, yes. So when we initially approach customers, they always think, oh, you're just another debt collection agency. So we need, at one point when we were, discussing with clients, I think those were the initial words that we say. It's really important to understand that we are not a debt collection agency.
Yeah.
We are very different. This is just a tool. This is something that you incorporate, in your operations. It's a platform that you activate, and then it just runs under your control. So you are the master of the process. You are the one that dictates how the automation is created, how the process continues, when to start, when to stop. And you see hands-on the benefits of the collection, compared to, of course, more traditional methods that everyone is used to, just selling the debt, or having third parties operate the collection process on your behalf, and you will be hands off, and uh, unaware more or less of how the process is it's being handled. But for sure, something that most companies see as a last resort, and we are explaining to them that this is another differentiator that you can use, and we encourage you to use the solution from day one of delays, because most of the benefits in having such an automation run in the back end of your operations is to incorporate it as early as possible. Because from the feedback that we got from clients, you would have 80 to 90% chances of recovering faster if you use this automation, compared to waiting weeks, months, or sometimes years of trying to recover that debt. And there are a lot of factors, right? Because first of all, just think about it. Customers don't remember, an invoice that was sent months ago. They have to go back and figure out, wait, did I pay? Did I not pay that invoice? Why haven't I paid? So there's a full process of thought behind, taking the decision of, am I paying now or am I paying later, given the time that already passed. More than that, there's a high risk of that company becoming bankrupt, or having financial instability and not being able to pay at a later stage. So at that point, if a bankruptcy process already started for that company, it's even harder to recover, even through the simplified process that the law is offering you. It's even harder to recover, because it's not one of the priorities in terms of the debt priority in the procedure. So there are a lot of key aspects to consider when you are making a decision in relation to how you want and when you want to have your debt collected. And I think there's also a mentality shift that has to happen with these new tools and solutions that technology it's offering businesses, from the traditional way of this is a last resort. I'm gonna leave it to after months have passed or years have passed since that invoice hasn't been paid, and shifting that mentality into, I need to do something about it now, and I'm not afraid that this will impact my business relationship, because it won't. Of course, depends on how I structure the initial automation, but it's in my hands and in my control. So it's completely up to me as a business to do that. And seeing the actual benefits, right? And the benefits are efficiency, time reduction in seeing this process to its end, and the increase of company's cash flow, because it really makes a difference in seeing your invoices paid within 15 to 30 days from being issued, compared to being paid, I don't know, months or years after,
Right.
when you're kind of losing hope there. And you shouldn't, because it's the service that you render, it's your work, so you should be compensated. I mean, it's normal. This is how mature businesses
Right.
operate.
Right. And also, could you share a specific success story of a client who saw significant results using your solution?
Yeah, so the first that comes to mind, it's a client from that operates in the transport industry. They were facing, as they were growing, they were facing a lot of delays in payments. Also with initially with smaller clients that they really want to outsource because it took a lot of data time. So again, the initial fear, this takes a lot of time to solve, but it's something that I need to solve because it impacts my cash flow. And then gradually moving to the medium clients, right, where the amounts became bigger and the impact, of course, more significant. And they initially started with just a few invoices, a few customers. And once they saw that this really works, they gradually moved to, more important customers because they saw that they are not losing that customer. They actually see the benefits of getting paid within, 10 to 15 days from incorporating the automation in their process. And, it was so easy. They could have anyone operate from their company, and it only takes a couple of minutes. And then after that is just monitoring the process. So the key benefits that we saw, and we also monitored that success case with that customer, was the recovery rate, which was 80% within the first 10 to 15 days from leveraging the platform and incorporating into their operations. Also, we noticed that uh, uh, it really depends on how the company structured the recovery flows. So it had to be a mixed version. So they had a neutral approach, let's say, with certain customers that were more, I don't know, important for them, and then a more aggressive approach with those that were smaller, and they had between 1 to 30 days of delays. And by mixing this, and having different approaches based on different customer segments, it's something that contributed to their successful collection. And of course, we initially another thing is that we initially signed a contract for 3 months. We say, we know this is new for you. Just try it out. Bring some invoices into the platform, see how it works, see how easy it is, and then from now on, we can scale if necessary. And from 3 months, we're now in month 8 of using our solution in their day-to-day operations.
Okay, that's really awesome. Now, looking at the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge?
The larger, when you're saying, I think legal tech industry, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, right. So, definitely the trend is to adopt more and more and understand more and more about how AI technology could be incorporated in different processes and how can be leveraged to, make certain operations more efficient. There's still kind of a reluctancy maybe into using, well, for sure, it's a reluctancy into using the AI to its fullest potential from for different reasons, which are understandable at this point. But I see a rather, promising tendency to incorporate more and more the latest technologies that could actually make a difference. So not just simple tasks such as helping with with AI in responding to emails or solving tickets, support tickets, whatnot, but into the more deep deep tech, such as having the AI being able to read through contracts, do an analysis of potential risks at the level of contracts, and highlight those risks either for legal professionals or internal departments that operate with on that end on the contract level. But it's still rather early, at least in Romania, into actually having that as a norm compared to just trying it out, see how it works, see how how they can leverage that.
Okay, and what excites you the most about the future of legal services in Europe?
Well, it definitely excites me to see that there are many legal professionals that are driving the change and driving the innovation. As you know, you probably don't know, but as other legal professionals well know that, legal profession is rather traditional one, right? So we have norms and regulations, limits, for different reasons. And having, the head of the innovation being a legal mind that understands the challenges, but also sees that there could be so many things that could be done in order to, for different reasons. You can make the legal services more accessible. You can make them more transparent to the end user. You can empower the end user to do certain processes up to a point and then reach out to the attorney. There are so many ways that you can, improve the current legal tech market and legal services market, and seeing that this growth and seeing that this innovation is led by legal professionals, it's actually something that's really encouraging and really, it's a good um, tendency, because when you have experts leading the innovation and leading the change, they do understand better the full spectrum of the problem, so they can leverage that understanding into building the proper solutions that could have the benefits that everyone wants on the market.
Okay, okay. And for example, in your opinion, what do you think most business owners are getting wrong when they're trying to solve this specific problem?
Well, there could be a lot of things that could go wrong in general when building a business, right? Um, because there is a lot of excitement initially when you have, I have this great idea, and I can use this and this tool that can definitely help and improve this process. And the most seen problem, at least that I've seen, is that founders get too attached to their idea as being the best idea. This is, this will definitely work. We just need to make it aware on the market. We need to, just market it enough, and it's gonna gain the strongest traction and be revolutionary. And that's usually when those founders have little interaction with the market and get too attached to the idea. They love what they built. They build a perfect solution, but they haven't released it on the market to actually have the market feedback to that. So solving, maybe there's a gap in between, building a very good and strong solution and actually solving a real problem. So it solved some problems, but maybe it was not the actual or the most pressing problem that a company would have in order to make that solution that hot as the founders usually look at it, right?
Right. And what advice would you give to business owners who want to stay ahead of these changes?
Well, I'm too early in the process of, being able to give advices. So the only thing that I could share is actually some personal learnings that I have as a co-founder that passed through some stages, but I'm still in the process of learning. So, I hope everyone takes, if they think it's something, takes whatever they think it's useful out of what I'm saying. So to being able to pass these challenges, I think it's very important for founders to be flexible, to adapt not only the product and the solution based on the feedback of the market, but also adapt their mindset. So, being instead of being focused on your solution, be focused on the problem or the actual needs of the companies or people that you want to service with the solution that you are developing. Because when you start listening and when your main focus is the customer, that will eventually, shape better the solution, and we'll help you develop that particular tool that will be able to actually solve a real issue, a real need, and will be used in a business setting. And I think this is key. And I also learned that, we're always looking at, we need to find that product market fit. We need to find that
Right.
product that fits the market. But how do you do that? And it's not a key point. It's not something like if I develop this and that, and if I incorporate feedback from the, I don't know, 100 customers, then definitely the solution that results is the product market fit. No, it's not a key moment. It's a process, and the process means that you are constantly developing, you are constantly pivoting, you are constantly changing what you initially developed on certain feedback, of course, not in a void environment where it doesn't address the customers you're trying to target, but in a real market environment. And then you are flexible enough to be able to constantly change the solution, change the approach, change your mentality, and eventually you will be in a better position to say that your product addresses real needs on the market.
Right, right, 100%. Now, as you wrap up, what's next for Quick Legal? Any exciting developments on the horizon?
Yeah, so we are developing QuickLegal in two directions. One direction, it's on the technical side. So right now the solution is mostly focused on SMEs. So it addresses the needs of small and medium businesses. The way it's designed, simple by just by design, right? And we are right now working on a pilot program with Vodafone Portugal and trying to develop the solution in becoming also an enterprise solution. Because as we notice from our client interactions, different the companies that are at different stages have different needs in the same process, right? So if small businesses usually look at, I just want to cash in, I don't care how you do it, just help me, have this constant cash flow, because otherwise my own business could be jeopardized. When we're moving to larger enterprises, they are looking at efficiency and they are looking at key metrics. So they want to always improve those metrics, because it's something that helps them have stability, right? So it could be also growth, but it's usually stability. So when you are focusing that the result of the solution should be to improve metrics, then you are leveraging different other tools or different other aspects of the automation, and focusing maybe, from on when you're looking at the whole collection process, maybe you're just focusing on the initial stages. So not on the hard collection, but more on the soft collection where you're trying to improve the metrics. Um, so with this in mind, it's what we're trying to develop with Vodafone, to leverage all these understandings and needs at an enterprise level into translating that into what how quick legal should look like and what should focus on in order to be able to also serve these kind of companies. And the other level of development is also we are scaling the solution to other markets. And for that, we are currently in an open round of investments. We are scaling the solutions to other countries that have similar, legal backgrounds, and other solutions on the market that we can compete, when we're bringing quick legal. One of those markets is France. They are very similar in terms of the regulations in Romania, but they are more mature markets that will allow us to better position Quick Legal as a competitor for the small and medium, but hopefully eventually to also large enterprises. So in a nutshell, the plans for the future are to scale the solution on a technical side, but also scale the solution on the market side, scaling to other countries and to other markets.
Yeah, this was my next question about the internationally expanding. Yeah. And
Perfect.
for,
So
yeah, right. And for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Quick Legal, what's the best way to get in touch?
right. So you can definitely reach out to me via LinkedIn or just shoot an email to the contact address that you have on our website. It's very easy to get in touch. We are looking actually for tech minds that will want to join, the sprint of building and scaling Quick Legal. We are not afraid of offering equity. So those, entrepreneur minds that want to be part of the business, we are welcoming them to, join our journey. So please, if you, want to start your own company or want to leverage the experience that you already gained into a startup, don't hesitate to reach out.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing those insights about you, about the company, and about the whole story. And thank you for this amazing podcast session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. See you in the next episode.